My name is Kiesha Wallace. My background is in applied mathematics and industrial systems engineering. And then I just realized my passion was for education. I switched over to teaching middle school math. And then from there, I saw a need, an overall need that many of the students that I was working with in remediation services and enrichment services, also with mentoring. And so I decided to start my own business, and the rest is history, I guess. Acewall Scholars actually was born out of an internship that I had through QEM, and QEM stands for Quality Education for Minorities. And I interned at the National Science Foundation. While at the National Science Foundation, I worked under the acting directorate for engineering, but he was really the deputy director, but he was acting as the director, Dr. Elbert Marsh. And I worked with him with co-authoring technical reports. And during the internship, we were allowed to go to the Hill, and we were able to sit in different hearings. And I just realized at that time, I was like, wow, this is an awesome opportunity. But I've always known, like, regardless of where I went to school or where I interned, that I was going to do well and I was going to accomplish a lot in life. But that was mainly because of the examples that I had early on. So I said, well, what about those kids that don't have this type of, or haven't had those examples? How are they gonna be able to be exposed to things and then set a vision for their own lives to explore more, to achieve more? And so it was during my final presentation at National Science Foundation. I said, well, you know what, when after I finish college, I want to start a program that helps mentor kids and exposes them to more. When I started in 2006, it was mainly to help with this problem that I saw within, the middle school system. I saw that a lot of the kids were lacking foundational math skills, also foundational reading comprehension skills. It started with me just working with kids, helping them get some of those foundational things that they had been missing and that they didn't get, previously. I decided to incorporate mentoring into the tutoring program. Now, the reason why we reorganized is because when I was when I was bidding for different contracts, I could not bid because I was originally nonprofit. I could not bid for profits using, the SWAM benefits. If you're a minority-owned business or a business run by a woman or a disadvantaged minority, you get preference in these in bidding for these different projects. But I couldn't get that because I was a nonprofit. So I had to reorganize as a for-profit so I could get my SWAM certification. No, it's not volunteer based. So it's interesting. We set up the model when I organized this. It was organized originally as a nonprofit, as we talked about it. But when we had to reorganize it, we still used that model, but we wanted to be able to get preferential. I would say preferential, but as a SWAM business, you're looked at first in many of the contracts. So we wanted both, but we still run it somewhat as a SWAM. But no, all of our parent aides and mentors and life coaches, we do have some people that volunteer, but most of our positions are paid positions. And with every client, we give each client an expense budget. And with our kids and our parents, we like to teach not only with setting goals, we like to help them with setting their own personal goals, but we also teach budgeting and finance. So with their expense budget and with the activities that they have during the month, we're teaching how to better interact with their child. If we're doing parent aid, better interact with themselves. We have a mental health component of it, and then we also teach finances and how to budget and how to save and plan for the future. normally the parents, it may seem kind of weird, but the parents actually love it. So no, they do. They really do like it, because if you think about it, every parent wants the best for their child, right? And they want to give them the best. However, if your exposure was limited based upon your family's lack of resources, then there is an understanding, hey, I want to give my child as much as I can give them, but my understanding or my exposure caps at this place. We actually have parents that say, yeah, we need help. We want you to come in and give us alternative ways to deal with our kids, alternative ways to introduce them to more things. So it's actually not a problem. You would think it would be, but it's actually not. Fundamentally, most parents want the best for their children. They see that we are very effective in education, as well as exposing kids to more through our mentorship program. So they welcome the parent aid service as well. And now there is families that access for this service privately, and then we also are contracted through social services to help families that they have pinpointed as families that would need additional assistance in either mentorship or life coaching, and as well as parent aid services. We don't just pair anybody up with the parent or the mentor. So it always starts with an interest interview. And within that interest interview, we have a series of questions that we ask so we can develop an individualized action plan. And it's called an IAP. And with that IAP, we sit down with the parent and we say, okay, well, what are some goals that you would like to reach for yourself and for your child? What are some areas that you feel like you're deficient in? And we ask the series of questions also to find out, well, what are some things that you would like to aspire to as a parent? What are some things that you wish you could do better? And from there, we pair them up with an aid that best fits the profile of that parent. So it's important that we pair someone up with a parent aid, as well as a mentor and life coach that sort of speaks their language, if that makes sense, and has similar, I don't want to say similar goals, but understands the goals that other people want to reach, so that they can best service them. So it's not about just getting a client. It's okay, if we're going to get this client, we need to make sure we have the people on staff that can best service them in particular. Not necessarily best service, how can I say it? Everyone on staff can do the job, but I think it's not just about doing the job. We're trying to make specific results in these people's lives over a short period of time. Like our parent aid services can last anywhere from 6 to 18 months. The goal is that you no longer need us. So the goal is that we would give you the skills so you can move on without needing anyone there. So it's not, 18 months is not a long period of time. So to maximize that, we do that entrance interview to make sure we're pairing them out with the person that has the skill set to meet whatever goals that they need for themselves. Very concept of our mind being able to process through and figure out information and think critically has a lot to do with our nutrition and how well our vitamins are within our body. Everything kind of ties together. Not kind of, everything does tie together. When you have kids that have lack of nutrition, and even just they don't have the money for food, that's an issue within school systems where kids, once summer break ends, they're not getting breakfast and they're not getting lunch. So if a child is hungry, they're not going to be able to focus on their work. It's just not going to happen. My goal was to not just help them, not just tutor them, but I wanted to also give them information so that they could receive that information and retain it better. Outside of that, also, I noticed that A lot of kids that I work with, their parents have not been to college. And so there is some understandings and some exposures to life that they just don't have. And so I realized that I'm going to have to look at all these pieces if I'm trying to work with kids and have them grow holistically, so that they are able to be viable members of our society. I saw that it's important really to holistically, when you're looking at health in a holistic way, it's important that all parts of people can be fed. So not everything is just like STEM focused. There is a arts and entertainment part of everyone. Everyone expresses themselves in an artsy way somewhat, and so I wanted to integrate that into our curriculum, into our programming. The arts includes dance. It also includes acting, in TV, film, theater, as well as voiceover acting. And the way we're able to do this is we partner with different businesses in our community. We use some of our profits for the year to pay for these things for students. So it's always, a give back to the community at any time we can. And we want to make sure that we're not just providing, I should say, hands-on experience to people that are interested in STEM, because the arts are equally as important. So we do offer art-based programs. The major one that's on the website, I think you saw, is called our Real World of Arts program. And in that program, we give kids that are interested in arts, and our cycle 1 was dance. We give them opportunity to get on a production, come to a production studio, go through the whole audition process and what it would be like if they were, I don't know, if they were in New York and they were auditioning for something. So we give them that experience, and then we also pay them for it. So it's really exciting to see the kids get that firsthand exposure as if they were like in the work field, doing it while they're still learning, while they're still taking the classes. So in our STEM programs, our goal is to not just give students a exposure and education, but we also give them a path forward. That path forward also includes hiring kids that actually are students that actually went through our program. So for instance, in this last cycle 2 of our Mad Scientist STEM program, which is our summer STEM program, we were able to hire 3 of our former clients. So out of a staff of 7, 3 of them were former clients. So, and we keep that up to have to make sure we hold positions for kids that went through our program. So that's always exciting. So the goal is that they begin to reach for whatever it is that they want to reach for in life. Many times people don't know what to do to reach the next step, or they're unsure if they can do it themselves. So the biggest thing is giving them confidence as well as a sense of adventure, to know that anything they want to do, they can. All they have to do is reach for it. Doesn't mean that it's not going to take hard work. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen over time. So that's another thing we like to share with them. Things don't always come easy, but it's perseverance. It's never giving up, and it's actually being courageous enough to dream. That will get you to where you want to go.